Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We have some exciting news coming out of Norman, Oklahoma today as Samuel Franklin from UT Martin has officially made his commitment to the University of Oklahoma. And just kind of looking at what he can bring to the team, I think you kind of thought maybe going into this portal season that running back wasn't necessarily the highest priority position, especially given that you had Javante Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk, both really productive players at times for Oklahoma. And you also have Dylan Tatum coming in from the high school ranks who has the talent to probably be a pretty productive player in his own right as a first-year guy. But I think what you're getting with Samuel Franklin is a guy who has a bit of a complementary skill set to what Barnes and Sawchuk kind of have. And to me, in the new age of running backs where you do kind of play three-plus guys and they all take carries and all kind of add things to the team, I think that's, again, a really solid get to broaden out the skill set of this Oklahoma backfield. But before we get into exactly what that skill set is, in my opinion, I just wanted to thank everyone, especially the Oklahoma fans. You guys have been supporting the channel since day one, and it really does mean the world, everything you guys have done in terms of engagement and liking and subscribing. It really is awesome. So if you do like the content, please continue to do any of that stuff. We love the engagement. That really is the best part of doing it. But just getting into what Samuel Franklin can bring, I think he has a bit more explosive potential than what Sawchuk and Barnes have showed over their careers. And those two are big physical runners, or physical runners, I should say, who like to run a little bit more patient. I feel like can chew up yards in between the tackles really effectively and run physically. I think with Samuel Franklin, you maybe add a bit of a explosive element to this offense and some big play potential. I was watching some of these games back from what UT Martin was doing last year, and you saw, especially in that North Alabama game, that's one that sticks out. That ability to hit the hole and just go and take off, and that burst and explosiveness through the hole. I think maybe you didn't see that from all the Oklahoma running backs last year. I think you see that in a big way with Samuel Franklin. And that, to me, we kind of talk about this. If you can't hit big plays, it's really hard to score a lot of points. Like you see teams like Michigan, you've seen moments where, especially in the past couple of years, like really good offensive lines can run the ball effectively, have physical top runners, but when you can't kind of rely on hitting a big play or two in each game, it really is hard to be one of those really prolific offenses. So to me, to add a guy out of the backfield who gives you a little bit more big play potential, I think it's huge, and it really does complement kind of what else Oklahoma can do with the other two who really can put their heads down and run and be physical and kind of wear a defense out in their own right. And then honestly, I think you look at what Franklin has. Like he had big time offers coming out of the portal. I think USC, South Carolina, all wanted him. And you kind of get a sense that, yeah, he is coming from UT Martin, obviously a step up heading into Oklahoma as they transition into the SEC. But this is a guy you can see the talent with, and these other coaches saw it, and they obviously want him there. And for Oklahoma to get him, I really do think this is a solid get, and a guy who can add something unique to what they're going to do offensively. And just getting into kind of wrap this up, what else you think Oklahoma is going to be looking for in the portal? I think it obviously starts with the offensive line. And I think, frankly, you have a fairly good crop of tackles coming back, especially as you add the Michigan State transfer into the fold. A guy who's versatile, I think, can play a little bit of guard if they need him to, but has played a ton of football at the Power 5 level and has a lot of starting experience to complement, frankly, two guys in Sexton and Taylor who are really, really talented at that tackle position. But I mean, Sexton did play a little bit last year and looked really, really good. But Taylor's coming in kind of green, and we'll see. I think we saw with Sexton. I think Taylor can do it. You got to hope he has a big year. And then Aaron Parks, too. I think people kind of forget about what he's doing in that kind of rotation, if you will, because he didn't play a ton last year. But you go back to that Cheez-It Bowl a year before, I thought he showed some good things. Another guy who I think might have some versatility. You kick him down in the guard if you need to a little bit and see what you can do. But to me, it's going to be about addressing that interior offensive line with Caden Green leaving. To me, I suspect that had a lot to do with him wanting to play tackle and maybe that tackle position being a little bit crowded this year, and especially with a couple of young guys coming up who have a lot of potential and probably will be at the school for at least 2 more years themselves. But yeah, that pretty much puts an onus on getting some interior offensive linemen, I think, into the portal. And you have some talent, but you need depth. And we talk about it. You need to probably be at least two deep on that offensive line. And for what I'm looking for, frankly, and we talked about this in one of our other videos, is I think you haven't seen the last of the interior guys coming into the portal. You think about like Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, teams that might like guys might be waiting to the spring, see if they win the spot, and if they don't, they might be in the portal. And frankly, for like a Michigan and an Alabama or a Texas, even guys kind of want to play that playoff out and see what happens, and then they might find themselves in the portal too. Because you look at those three teams, especially, they're really really deep, and they have a lot of talent into that probably three deep position. So if you're Oklahoma, you might have some really good opportunities to go get really talented guards who might just be a notch below what Michigan's looking for, or what Alabama or Georgia or Texas, any of these teams. But again, like it'll allow you to build some depth up through your program if some of those guys hit and Oklahoma can go make a good pitch and kind of start trying to add them to the fold. Because really, you look at what Oklahoma's coming back with, everything else looks like it might be pretty good. The one other position, maybe add a couple more defensive linemen. It certainly wouldn't surprise me to see that. You saw two good Houston defensive tackles hit. Maybe go there. But everything else is solid. You get back Stutzman and Bowman, big time players. You add a nice wide receiver in Burks through the portal, and you obviously added a really good corner. So I think every position, frankly, looks pretty good, aside from maybe that interior offensive line and maybe a bit of that interior defensive line. I think if you add a couple more bodies in those spots, this Oklahoma team looks very much ready to rock. So that'll be what I'm looking for, I guess, to just close out in through the rest of this transfer portal and even into that spring window. But other than that, you got to think Oklahoma does look pretty good. So again, thank you guys all for watching. If you do enjoy the content, please consider interacting, subscribing, whatever else. It really does. We really do appreciate it. Thanks.